Ivan.
Ivan was the real turning point in my wrestling career, because Ivan turned me into where, I could do a 5, 6, 7, 8 minute match, which I learned from Terry Taylor and George Weingroff and all these guys. Well, being with Ivan taught me how to go 30 minutes in an hour.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
So now all of a sudden this was a whole another part of my wrestling career.
Yeah.
And I loved Ivan. I just talked to Ivan the other day too. He's the greatest guy in the world.
He just put out a book, I believe.
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I believe he just put out a book.
Am I in it?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
The first thing you hear when somebody has a book, I hope I'm not in it.
Yeah. I hope he said nice things.
Ivan, what a gentleman. We had some good times on the road.
Yeah. Now, you want to be talking out of turn here, because I know that Ivan's book, a lot of it is about his struggles with alcohol throughout his career. Did it affect you guys, as a team doing shows, Ivan, who's self-admitted, that he's had this problem?
No. Ivan was a machine all the time.
Okay.
Quick story, though.
Okay.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Me and Ivan, we were out partying for, I don't know how long, and we had to go from Charlotte, North Carolina to Richmond, Virginia. And we got to Richmond. We were the main event. We wrestled. So by the time we got out of the building, it was about 10:30. And we had to go back to Charlotte to sleep, and then we had to be in Atlanta the next morning for TV.
Okay.
So I looked at Ivan and I said, Ivan, are you okay to drive home? Because I said, I'm feeling pretty good. He goes, oh, Crush, I'm doing great. Don't worry about it. Why don't you take a nap and take over in a while? And I said, Ivan, now, are you sure you can drive? And he says, yeah. And I mean, we were up for days, And so we're on our way home, and I hated when anybody else drove, because I never trusted anybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I never trusted anybody.
Yeah.
Because of all the nightmares in Louisiana and car wrecks and the stories you hear, I wanted to be in command of the module, So I kept saying, Ivan, you all right? He goes, yeah, Crush, I'm good. You take a nap and take over in about a half hour. So I get over against the door, and I kind of fall asleep, and I'm looking over at Ivan, and I see Ivan over there going like this.
Yeah.
And he's got the cruise control on about 90 on the freeway,
Yeah.
And he's just like this, and I look over, and I said, Ivan, are you sure you're okay? Oh, Crush, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm fine. You take a nap, right? So I make like I'm sleeping. I got my eye open, and here's Ivan like this.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here looking at him, and all of a sudden Ivan falls asleep, out cold.
Wow.
I grab the wheel, and I'm sitting in the passenger chair, and he's sleeping, snoring. We're going down the road at 90 miles an hour, and I'm steering the car.
Oh, man.
I bet, and this is no lie, it had to be 2-3 minutes.
Wow. You're alive.
And all of a sudden, Ivan jumps up like this, and he goes, yeah, Crush, I'm fine. And I said, Ivan pulled his car over now, And he says, well, what's up? I said, you were just sleeping 3 or 4 minutes going 90 on cruise control. I said, you think I'm going to sleep with you driving? Oh, my God.
Now, you talked about it already as far as Flair calling you, Dusty calling you to go to Crockett. Was Flair kind of the icing on the cake where you said, I should probably go up there and give this thing a shot?
When Flair called me up and said Arn Anderson was going to be there, that was...
Really? Was it the Arn Anderson?
Yeah, Arn Anderson. I to this day, and I don't talk to Arn enough, but Arn is probably my best friend in the wrestling business.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, his wife and my wife are best friends, and they talk probably 3-4 days a week still. Yeah.
Now, what? How did Mike take it when you gave notice? Because I would imagine he was very bitter at the time for Dusty leaving and the whatnot. Mike Graham.
Mike Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was my time to leave then.
Yeah.
It was the territory now was starting to get a little stale.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the season or what it was, but he wasn't mad or anything.
Yeah.
It was time for me to go. Because when I came in there, I was on top. And it was a year being on top, and you know, wrestling the top guys, beating them, and I put everybody else over when I was leaving. So I did my part of the deal.
Yeah.
In fact, Mike was one of the guys I put over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you came into the Mid-Atlantic territory, what were your initial impressions of Jim Crockett?
I thought he was a okay guy. I mean, he was a character, a little arrogant,
Yeah.
I mean, a rich, snobbish guy,
Yeah.
But I always got along with him.
Yeah. Now you were teaming. You came in. You were teaming with Nikita. How wild was it teaming with a guy you went to school with, that you were friends with?
Well, it was really good. But what was funny was, he couldn't work a lick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people were scared to get in the ring with him because he'd hurt them and all that stuff. Well, Ivan and I talked all the time, and we said, what we're going to have to do with Nikita is we're going to have to be the guys that fly, and we'll make Nikita the strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
And being the strong guy, you didn't have to know how to do all the the working part of the whole deal.
Yeah.
And it ended up being where we created a monster. I mean, he really was Nikita Koloff. And we used to work at where we'd say, you can't tell anybody that you're not really from Russia.
Huh.
So I would go to the bank and I'd make like I knew what Russian was, and he'd talk Russian, and I'd pay the bills for him because he didn't know how to write American writing. I mean, that's how serious it was back then.
Yeah.
And finally he came into his gimmick big time, and worked his way up, and then ended up working with Flair and Dusty, and
Yeah. Wow. What were your thoughts on Ivan, teaming with Ivan? What were your thoughts on The Office at that time, which I guess was run by JJ and Dusty? Were JJ and Dusty...
When I was there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike Graham was running the territory then.
Oh, okay. Dusty was out?
Dusty was gone. Dusty was down in Charlotte, North Carolina then.
Oh, okay.
And that's when, I can't remember how long I was down there in Florida, but I love that territory. It was a great place. Nikita called me up from Charlotte and asked me if I would come down there.
Mm.
And I told him, I said I didn't want to leave Florida, but if the money was right and all that, I'd come. And Nikita never really went through camp or anything, so Ivan, taught him everything he knew.
Yeah.
And they kind of needed me there, so me and Ivan could have the matches and help Nikita.
Yeah.
And Dusty called me up and said, "Barry, baby, please come down here." And I got a heck of a program. And then I said, I don't know. And then Flair called me up, because Flair was in Florida all the time, and whenever Flair came in, I picked him up and we traveled together.
Oh, okay.
So he called me up and he says, "Darsow, you got to get down here." He says, "If you come here, I'm calling up Arn Anderson, and you guys could be together again."
Huh.
Because Arn was really the first guy that I met in the business.
Okay.
I met him when I first went to Atlanta for Oli.
Okay.
He was my first friend.
Oh, wow.
And we had the conversations all the time. And Arn was in Pensacola while I was in Tampa. And when Flair says, "I'm going to get Arn here, you're coming here, we're going to have a heck of a territory," that's when I put in my notice. And it was about the time to leave Tampa.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I mean, that was where I really learned how to work with Ivan.
Now, you must have some good travel stories with Flair. You just you open up a hornet's nest right there, saying you used to pick up Flair and drive him.
I'd rather not even talk about that. I love Flair. Oh, it was a good time.
Yeah.
And I was not married yet or anything.
For the record. Yeah. What are your memories of when Superstar Billy Graham came in for a brief amount of time?
Well, I got to know Billy Graham really well in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
We used to travel together, and that was back when all of us, we really trained hard. All the way through. Before I got into wrestling, I was a power lifter and, strong.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne Bloom and I had the 2-man deadlift world record, which
really
still holds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we were, nationally ranked in powerlifting. And so Superstar Billy knew that, but Billy was a bodybuilder, and I wanted to hook up with Billy Graham because he was the man.
Yeah.
And I traveled with him and learned an awful lot about how to eat and how to get stronger and all that stuff. And good guy.
Yeah.
I love everybody in this business.
Yeah.
There's not somebody I don't like. So I hear that he's a good guy a lot of times.
Okay.
Exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.